On the night of the murder, Scott Enyart was a 15-year-old student with dreams of becoming a world-traveling photojournalist. Using stolen press credentials, he worked his way into the embassy room to photograph Robert Kennedy at the moment of triumph.
I was about 5 feet from the podium. As he finished his speech, I followed him into the pantry area. As I got into the pantry, I was about 10 feet behind him, continuing to take pictures as he shook hands with people. And all of a sudden I saw him drop from the frame. He fell. And I continued taking pictures. I backed up. I jumped up on a table. Everyone in front of me had been shot and fell. And I jumped up to get out of the way, continued taking pictures for a while. A friend of ours got past us. We thought, it would be fun. We could get some pictures. So that's why we came. I feel there are some missing from it. I took a 36 exposure roll, and I got 26 prints back.
As he tried to leave the hotel, Enyart was arrested at gunpoint. His film was confiscated. In the early morning hours, he was taken by jail bus to the LAPD's Rampart station.
At that point, they released me about 7 o'clock in the morning with an empty camera. And they told me that later on that my photographs are going to be used in the trial of Sirhan. They gave me back photographic prints of the speech and then everything after I left the pantry, but they took all the pictures that I actually took in the pantry. Those were missing. That's basically it. Then I waited 20 years. They told me, the courts have sealed this evidence for 20 years. You're a good citizen. We appreciate what you did, but you got to wait. I waited for 20 years, 1988. I wrote a letter, said, can I have my film back? And I was notified by the California State Archives that my photographs, along with 2,400 other pieces of evidence, had been destroyed by the LAPD 3 weeks before Sirhan's trial.
Contrary to popular belief, there is no photographic or video record of the assassination of Robert Kennedy. Scott Enyart's pictures were the only ones taken of the shooting as it was occurring. It is therefore impossible to believe that both the prints and the negatives would have somehow been lost by accident. We know that they were developed because Enyart received prints of both before and after the shooting. And as Enyart has told us, he was screened from Sirhan. All we would have seen in Enyart's photos is what was going on behind Senator Kennedy. What subversive image, then, had Scott Enyart's camera captured? A strong clue may be found in the autopsy performed upon the body of Robert Kennedy by L.A. County Coroner Dr. Thomas Noguchi.
In accordance with California law and in a meticulous effort to avert any question or controversy, a painstaking 6-hour autopsy was carried out this morning.
Briefly stated, the autopsy found that the wounds inflicted upon Senator Kennedy were inflicted from behind, at a sharp upward angle, and at extremely close range. Using powder burn analysis, Noguchi determined that the fatal bullet was fired at a distance of about 1 to 3 inches behind the right ear.
Dr. Noguchi, were you able to determine how far the gun muzzle was from Senator Kennedy's head?
One gunshot wound was found behind the right ear, and there were abundance of a powder deposit on the edge of the right ear, and after testifying the similar weapon, we came to conclusion that the muzzle distance would be 1 inch from the right ear edge and no more than 3 inches.
Dr. Noguchi's findings made him unpopular in certain circles in Los Angeles. As he went to testify before the grand jury, Noguchi was reportedly approached by an assistant district attorney and asked to change his calculations on the firing distance from inches to feet. Noguchi refused. He then became the target of a vicious campaign to destroy his credibility. In the autumn of 1968, he was suspended as coroner, and defense attorneys prevented the details of his autopsy from being introduced at the trial of Sirhan. Nevertheless, the wounds as described by Dr. Noguchi seem entirely inconsistent with a Sirhan who was placed by most witnesses wrestling with Maitre d' Carl Euchre about 4 to 6 feet in front of Senator Kennedy.
Attorney Godfrey Isaac defended him.
Well, the first question that I ask of a witness with reference to showing what a competent and really extraordinary autopsy Dr. Noguchi performed, the Deputy County Counsel asked to approach the commissioners, and they're stated that if I went into the questioning further, that it would cause an international incident.
Now, what was meant by international repercussions on that day with regards to Senator Robert F. Kennedy's autopsy?
Well, Deputy County Counsel Martin Weeks did not define what he meant by that, but he seemed to indicate that it would cast a great deal of doubt on what we'd heard about Robert Kennedy's death.
The headlines at the time said that there was a mystery to the Robert Kennedy autopsy.
Well, a paradox that's never been explained is how the Los Angeles County, through the District Attorney's Office, could base a murder charge on the autopsy of Dr. Noguchi, and then in the hearing relative to his firing, tried to take the same autopsy to show that he should be fired. As a matter of fact, I don't think this is something that can be explained, and I think that anyone who reasons and thinks would be naive not to feel there might be some connection with regard to assassinations and what occurred. My wife, Rowena, who acted as my legal aid throughout the hearing, which, as you know, resulted in Dr. Noguchi's being completely cleared of all the charges and reinstated as coroner, received a call from a lady who, in fact, made an appointment to come to our home and who wanted to speak with us because she had been at the Ambassador that night, and she herself had seen a security guard firing.